I'm now with Richard Culverhouse of the Classic and Modern Motorsport Club. Good afternoon, Richard, and welcome to Race Retro 2023.
Yes, thank you very much indeed. Yes, it's been an extremely good show for us so far. Been very, very busy for the first couple of days, and it looks like it's going to be as busy today. Perhaps not quite as busy as Friday and Saturday, but certainly busy. Very good from our point of view, and we've been talking to a lot of people.
So how long has the club been going for now, Richard?
Well, the club was formed in 2018, basically from the old Bark Southeast, which is the modern side of the club, and of course I input the classic side of the club, so it does what it says on the tin, basically. It's classic and modern.
And that includes bikes as well, doesn't it?
We've had bikes where our race meetings at Mallory in the past, which gives a variety to the race meeting. Which is good for spectators because the spectators will see the cars and the car people will see the classic bikes. Unfortunately, this year, 2023, they're not coming, which is a great shame, but we have some Formula 4s there this year to make up for it.
So how many meetings do you have in a year?
Normally we run 3, but this year we've been restricted because of dates to just the Mallory weekend. We would normally go to Silverstone or Cadwell or both, but next year we are hoping to expand even more and do more race meetings because more people are coming to us for them to come on board so we can actually put on race meetings together. So other series are coming to us to put on the race meetings.
So in other words, some of your series are on other clubs' meetings, is that right?
That is correct, yes, because we can buy from other clubs, we can buy races from them, especially on the classic side and on the modern side locally in Brands or Snetterton or places like that. In fact, we've got in at Thruxton on both with the classics and the moderns this year at 2 separate meetings. So that's extremely good getting in at Thruxton.
That must be a lot more complicated than having your own meeting though, isn't it?
Yes, it is in a way, and of course it's more expensive. If you run your own race meeting, then you can fix your own charges. But when you're probably paying £10,000 to buy a race, the arithmetic of you've got to get 25 cars at £400, and people say, "Oh, it's expensive," but it's just a pure arithmetic.
So you're classic and you're modern. So how does that work out? What percentage of classic and what percent, or does it change all the time?
Well, we have more on the modern side at the moment. We have more races because there are 3 series on the modern side. There's our tin top series, which are basically standard hot hatch and saloons. Our super saloons, which are the more modified cars. And then we've got what we call our silhouette intermarks, which are specialised 2-litre cars, which have their own race. So they tendency the tin tops and the supers, because of the numerics, race together, and the intermarks have a race together, and there again we have longer races for our classics.
So what classics do you have?
Oh, a variety of them. Mostly 60s and very early 70s in our series, so it could be MGBs, I've got a Mini Marcus, a whole variety of cars, some TVRs, but generally they're sort of a real eclectic mix of cars. I mean, I've even got an early classic Ford Capri.
Because you've had the 500cc Formula 3s at your meeting as well, haven't you?
Oh yes, and very much so. I owned a 500 many years ago, so I've got this association with them, and they have been at Mallory, but this year there's something else on May the 6th when they normally go to Wiscombe Hill Climb. So unfortunately this year they've had to move their date for Wiscombe, and the only date they could get was May the 20th. So unfortunately we're not having them at Mallory this year. But they will be back next year, 24, they'll be back.
And of course you said the show is very beneficial to you.
Yeah, it's very beneficial. Okay, it does cost. There is a cost in anything, but the mere fact that I can sit down and talk to people face to face, which I always think is much better than a telephone call and even a Zoom call. people here, sit down, talk about next year, and we're already starting to plan quite extensively for 2024.
Face to face is better, isn't it?
Always in business because my business background is a printer, and we were the largest motorsport printers in the country back in the 70s and 80s. That's how I got my connection with motorsport. But I always travelled and talked to people and sat down and discussed things with them. No telephone calls.
Well, thank you, Richard, for the interview. It's good to interview at last. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you.